market, so they threw money out.
Oh, yeah. Look, we're live. We're actually gone live. It's actually worked. Hello.
That's a relief. I'd stop breathing for a while.
But it said there's some errors going to Facebook.
Oh, no. Oh, who cares about Facebook?
Yes. The
LinkedIn cast outs. It's no good.
And there's all the people that were here last week still chatting away in the chat while we were chatting away to each other on there. Yeah, as somebody said last week, there was more people in the chat than there's ever been before. We weren't there.
Discussing our
hello, Mick. Hello. Discussing, well, this could be a very, very long discussion, couldn't it? Well, we started a minute early or 20 seconds early or something, haven't we? I don't know. It's been a funny old week of not a lot happening. A very big Russian thing was shot down, which was quite interesting. The stealthy thing. Was it its own Air Force?
They reckon that they lost control of it, so rather than letting it fall into Ukrainian hands, they decided to shoot it down.
Okay.
Because it was a wingman drone, apparently. A wingman drone.
Loyal wingman. Yeah, they've just tacked that sticker gets tacked on any big thing that's made now. It's a loyal
wingman drone.
There we go. Yeah, and also that, and then allegedly Russia's been testing some more things in secret. But then when I see the images of it, I think, no, I've been seeing those for years. So
they tested that thing for destroying missile launchers. That worked really well.
They did, yes. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Flyby, yeah, not very loyal. Yes, that's right, Mick. Not very loyal at all. Well, here we are then. Now, I don't know how much you want to say, Ian, but and I don't know if you've got any.
Pretty reluctant to come forward.
Well, things have got quite interesting, but I don't know how interesting I'm allowed to say.
We can't talk about what's going on because it's funny. This we every time on this show, at some point, we think things can't get any more bizarre or go off in certain directions. You know. We've been there for the tribunal things, through the battles, through the wins, through kind of accidentally starting up a legal process of taking the chief constable of Sussex Police for contempt of court. You know, been through all that, and you're thinking nothing strange could ever happen again. But there's strange things we can't talk about that could become very newsworthy. So there's that, but there is something we can talk about, and we've talked about it a little bit in the past. But let me see if I can just find you a link, so at least we can have something on the screen.
Hello, John. Hello, Grey Arrows. It's alive. We watched that the other day with the children. Johnny 5. Watch that. I think it's Johnny 5. He's alive. I think it's that one, isn't it? I'm trying filling in for Ian here while he's clicking away.
Well, I'll tell you something I did find out while I'm looking for this, which did make me giggle a bit. One of the management team that oversaw the Gatwick drone incident is now responsible for the energy supplies of the UK to making sure the lights stay on. So there you go.
And
you're on mute. His lips are moving, but we can't hear.
No, I didn't. I was just miming. I just said the new South Africa.
Yeah, well, welcome, Miss Karabusana. We can tell you how it's done. And lots and lots and lots of people from NATSA's making friends with me now on Linked of the Inn, which is quite interesting. I look at them on profile. They say they're getting a bit angry about it. I can't say anything about that either. But there's lots going on. The Netflix documentary is getting ever bigger and bigger and bigger. It really is.
Yeah, he's going to make his own. He's been looking at them and analysing them, seeing how to do documentaries, and he's been practicing. And he's got his anamorphic lenses on the
anamorphic,
not the ones with the
anamorphic documentary.
He's got the real one.
Although there have been some anamorphic documentaries on Netflix. I'll put you in a link anyway. But yes, I have been watching the Netflix, and I've been watching the camera angles and the things they do. And there was one this week where they were making it very blurry at the edges, which I think was with the split diopter. I've got one of those.
You've set him off.
I might get it later. We can go live Netflix mode on this camera.
Just use your Action 3 or your Action 4. That's all you need.
But what I want to know is who's going to play Bruce in Netflix. Who's going to play Bruce?
Wow.
I think it'd have to be Bruce Willis, just because.
Just because.
I was thinking Helen Mirren.
Helen Mirren. You've been known to be topless a lot, have you?
Suddenly his clothes just fall off. All of a sudden.
Off. Yeah, that's right. Oh, the humanity. Just imagine. So look, this request was refused.
So this is the Department for Transport, where I'd done a query originally asking for emails relating to cyber matters. So you can't just say, show me all your emails about any cyber mischief that might have been going on when Gatwick was going on. So I had to come up with a load of keywords in the end. So I look for, obviously, cyber's obvious, but the software, crash, bug, all those kind of things that could be around any kind of software issues. And that found, 100 or so emails. And there's some ones in there that interested me in particular. So on the very day, in fact, the hours just before Gatwick happened, there was a discussion about, aviation cybersecurity. And later on, as the whole Gatwick thing wraps up, there was some, remember again, the DFT, we don't have any photos. We don't have any video. Why are you even asking? And there we go. Yet another email with drone photos in it that apparently doesn't exist, but obviously it does exist. So when I've got this list, about 2 months after that, before I could pick out what I wanted, because I could never say, give me 100 emails, it'll go too much cost, knock it back. So before I got chance, they then did something that's unlawful. They blocked me as vexuous, said we will never ever answer the freedom of information from you again, and certainly not on the subject of Gatwick. And I didn't know that was unlawful at the time. You can't make a person vexuous. Only a specific request can be, and obviously you'd have to genuinely. If you talk about a request being vexuous, it'd be something daft. For example, you ask your council what their procedure is where there's a zombie outbreak, something like that, something a little bit daft. It's that kind of thing. It's not asking a legitimate question. So
that's one for Bruce.
Anyway, I found myself in that scenario of being told you can't use the freedom of information again. So to go to the ICO, they had to go all that process. So it took several months. So by the end I got to that, I then eventually got around thinking, I've got to go and ask for these emails, because obviously I couldn't do it for this time, because I didn't, going for this silly thing of trying to make sure that I was allowed to use the freedom of information. So when I came to ask for them, these emails have accidentally on purpose got deleted. So they're saying, well, we can't show you them because they've gone, which doesn't add up anyway, because they have retrieved emails from the archives before today, so I know they can do it. They've been asked, actually, there was like the COVID public inquiry to do it and so on. So they actually have an automated tool for doing it. So this is the kind of stuff I've had to get together as evidence, because I went to the ICO first, and the ICO, again, they've not looked at what's gone on in the past, because last time this happened, the ICO sided with me and said, yeah, you're correct. And then the DFT went, and it went arguing on for a while. And eventually they got me the emails, so they can get them from the archives. So I've had to go to tribunal, which I've just started the paperwork for. So look, we've already proven the DFT can get the emails. We've already proven in the past that the decision is not unreasonable. So you get a different casework at the ICO, the same scenario, and they can either go in your favour or against you. But I'm saying we should have consistency. So I've put together, I think a fairly solid case for why I think the decision is wrong. When it goes to tribunal, the DFT will be given the choice of if they want to bring in their legal team. If not, it'll be fought by the ICO. If it's like last time, there will be two solicitors against me, and they will just say nasty things about me and try and twist my words and destroy anything I've said. They'll just question it. I'm hoping it doesn't go like that, but that's how it went last time. And I can't even show you it went last time, because then I got put in a non-disclosure, because I was going to say, well, I said, the way you're speaking to me, what's going on here, I want to put this on Twitter. And they're like, we're not having none of that. So there we go.
Nothing says freedom like non-disclosure.
Yes, the freedom of non-disclosure.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's going from Netflix documentary to John Grisham novel.
So, and did you received a letter today? Can we share that or not share?
Yeah,
that?
if you've got it.
I've got it. I have got that letter.
If you've got it in a way you can show it. But yeah, the ICO of so basically, what's actually there's two prongs to this, and that's what the letter deals with. So this has gone to the tribunal. So it's essentially a court. In parallel to this, knowing that the individual at the DFT that was managing it, whose emails I was after, was copying his emails to the Home Office, I said to the Home Office, can I have these emails? So I knew they got deleted. I thought, well, just be easier. I'll ask the Home Office for the same emails. But then the Home Office, the Home Office have been good today. And because I'm asking for DFT emails, I think they have asked the DFT, and I think someone at the DFT has told the Home Office to hinder and to be uncooperative, because suddenly they're being uncooperative. They're just not even replying back to emails. So the ICO said they've got 10 days to reply to me. Otherwise, it will end up going up through their processes. So I suspect they'll either ignore that or I'll get a reply. They'll go for the public interest. I've won it before. I can win it again. So it'll just end up going. It'll just end up going to tribunal and having to go for all those same arguments that have already been gone through to then try and get these emails. So there's basically we're going through two processes to get to the same set of emails that should have never been deleted in the first place. Because the whole point of aviation and aviation safety, and you've got these rules from like EASA and the other bodies that we deal with that basically say in these kind of situations, you should be keeping evidence, collecting it, storing it, looking after it, not just going, straight into the recycle bin.
And in the documentary, Ian will be doing all his own stunts.
And
sound
a cunning stunt. Yeah, the whole lot. Yeah, no, it's dreadful all around, and this is just a small part of what's currently going on.
But I think as well, the organisations need to be very, very careful, because, and it's something that's come out again with the post office inquiry this week, but it wasn't something I was fully aware of, and I suspect a lot of the staff aren't aware of it. If you conceal information from freedom of information, so you don't even have to delete it. If you just don't disclose that you've got it, that is a criminal offence. And for you as an individual, so any employee at these organisations, they can have 6 months in prison or a £5,000 fine. And the last time the ICO was notified of this, there was a council employee that ended up with a criminal record, a number of £100 worth of fine. I think some other court costs, presumably lost their job as well. So, I think people need to think very, very carefully before they're manipulating the freedom of information. And I think as it drills on and these silly games go on, I specifically put a note to the judge actually saying, now this is the fourth time. So this is the fourth tribunal. So you can see there's now a pattern of there being a problem with the Gatwick drone incident. And if you can could you instruct the ICO to have a look into this? Because if they do, they can see a pattern. And I've even gone back and documented specific behaviours that are completely specific to the DFT, completely specific to Gatwick, questions that have not happened to other people, compared them against the way the police has acted and so on. And you can see a distinct difference. And that the freedom of information says you shouldn't be treating a person different. So if it says, it's Ian Hudson versus Bruce or anybody else asking a question, it should be no different. And it also says the topic shouldn't be considered either. So the Gatwick drone shouldn't have a different response either. As far as the appeals things, the appeals don't cost, Simon. Nice thing with this process, it's free. Although the process I went down, which I didn't realise was a very dangerous process to go when I did the contempt of court. That could have had very expensive fees at the end of it, and that, and I got an apology on that. I know that anyway. So at that point, I hit the head on that one because no point in going any further. And all it would have done was risked me costing stuff. So at the moment, it's just my time, and at the moment, I don't mind with this thing. It's come that far. It just needs finishing off.
But I think we seem to forget sometimes because getting so, for want of a better word, getting bogged down by all this bureaucracy. We seem to forget that as a result of what's happened is really affecting the regulations. There are decisions being made every day, not just in the UK, but actually across the world, that they are using the reference of the Gatwick incident as an excuse or as a reason for setting in this regulation that they want to put in, or spending X amount of money on something just because of Gatwick. So
yeah,
and that we seem to kind of forget that sometimes, but that's the reality of what's going on at the moment. But of course, you have to go through all of this every day, every week. You have to go through this, and of course, it's really important that we all hear this, and the people out there hear this, and of course, the powers that be. I try to understand this as well, but still, you kind of have to go, yeah. But it's a shame that all this is going on, and like we're all being affected by it.
Yeah, I mean, this shouldn't have been anything other than, arguments say it should have been 90 days after Gatwick, whilst everyone did the investigation, looked into it, preferably somebody independent, like Brendan had said, and then just come away and said, well, look, there may not have been a drone. We'll learn lessons for future, and we could have all just moved on. But obviously, we've gone to the same as with the post office and everything else in the UK, where someone does something where potentially fingers could have been pointed, and everyone's just like, what can we do to just sweep this under the carpet, make it go away, and it does nobody any favors. I mean, it's going to damage the reputation of the DFT, the CAA, just the UK for trust, because it's just compounding with all the other behaviours we're seeing with other organisations in the UK, the same repeated patterns. Nobody's learning any lessons, and everyone's digging their heels in.
They don't need trust; they've got authority.
The thing is,
there you go.
So,
no, what Bruce just said, they don't need trust; they've got authority. That's very legitimate. And what Simon's saying here is really legitimate as well. And people are not paying attention to this in the UK, in my opinion. I'll let you lead into this now, Ian.
This is the problem as well. It's a pattern of behaviour, because we can go back further. I mean, this started with the Stitch Up Balper impact study, where you might as well have got a house brick and fired it at a window and said that's a drone. It was absolutely shocking. The worst thing with that is I went on BBC News with that, and within an hour, the DFT had got someone on to contradict me and essentially say that I was lying, and that was a perfectly legitimate, up-to-date modern drone they had fired out when it wasn't. They've got a huge, I think, Nikon camera.
It sort of was, but it was in parts.
There's a bit of wood in there. There's some glue. We might have put a bit of brick in there, but it was an accident. It was all that had gone on. And then it took the Drone Manufacturers Alliance for Europe, or whatever they're called, to come out and actually backed up every single word I'd said. But it shouldn't have come to that again. We shouldn't have been misrepresenting a study when we shouldn't have even started a study, which was clearly just to go out and, again, just hit the industry on the head. Why is the DFT in this mindset that this is an industry that it can just keep putting the boot into and manipulating? I just don't think you do this where they're trained or something. So you've got these bureaucrats, some of them that have never done anything with drones. They don't know a thing about them. They might have got migrated across from another government department. and they are making the decisions. They are pulling strings, and then you've got the Home Office at it as well, and everyone's just, they're just. I think they're damaging the UK. They're damaging not just the reputation of an industry, but they're going to damage the external view of the UK and the authorities here. Because when people start hearing the facts, as they are doing now, thank you, Philip, they go, wait a minute, this, we know ourselves what was on Gatwick was nonsense, and now you're bringing all this up. It all makes sense. And why is this even allowed to go on?
Well, this is the problem. We've got these people who know nothing being told things by people who have financial interest. And if you're someone who knows nothing, who are you going to believe? The person that's offering you a huge amount of lobbying money, or the person who knows what they're talking about? My goodness, these companies that want this airspace cleared, that want to vilify drones so they can make money out of the airspace, they're the ones you'll believe. So these people that know nothing can't fight back with any knowledge. So they just accept what they're told, and we end up with the basket case of a situation we can't currently have.
Yeah, it's interesting. Sorry, go on.
The more as time goes by, the more I think they are just having a little dance at the minute, because they haven't quite worked out how they're going to extort the most amount of money for that first 500 feet possible, and they're kicking regulations around until they've decided. And that the warning shot across the bow of 300 quid a flight for all up, just for every lift, that is a shot across the bow, and that they want hidden. They being the DFT, and in the survey, not survey, what do they call it when they call for interest from markets?
Do a consultation.
Consultation. That's it. Consultation for the consultation in June next year. I think they are kicking the industry down the road until they can find the best possible way to make money. And you're saying RID is a failure. It won't be a failure when it's network RID, and that's how they're making the money.
That's the end game. That is the end game.
Mm.
Yeah.
John makes a comment. It's funny enough, I've used the exact words. I did this actually on funny enough, we mentioned consultations, one of the CAA consultations. In fact, I think I've even mentioned it I've done it on the Freedom of Information as well, when it was at the start of the year, when again they were using Gatwick and they were using the stats. I said, why is Gatwick being allowed to be weaponized? That's the exact words I use, and he's using it there, and that's exactly what it is. I think when they've realised a mistake has been made, rather than saying, oh, wait a minute, we can do a mistake, they go, oh, wait a minute, well, why don't we just use this and push this and push that and use it as a lever? And that's what's happened instead. And it's wrong.
Well, if we had head screwed on properly, we can use that to discredit other things they say by, if they're relying on something that's clearly not true, how much of the other assertions they're making have the same low level of veracity, and that can work to our favour if we do it properly.
But see, that's the problem. We're not going to trust stuff in future, and we've got every reason not to trust stuff, because we've got now a pattern of manipulation. And the question is, at what point are people going to be honest? And the problem with it as well is, where's the integrity? Where's that one person? These organisations, surely there's somebody in the DFT with integrity, or in the CAA. Where is it? I'm not seeing any of it.
If you get the government dictionary, you'll find the word integrity has been crossed out.
It's redacted. Government redacted. We should publish one of those. The government redacted dictionary. Absolutely.
These kind of things only happen from people staying silent, seeing it going on, and not saying no.
Well, but how many years ago? It's 2018. It's how many times? What's the churn been in the departments? How many people are still there that were there at the time? They've moved on. They're not there, and they don't care. It wasn't on their watch.
In New Zealand, what tends to happen is, as soon as somebody rises to a level of competence, they push them out sideways so they can get someone else who's more malleable coming into that position. It's happened with regulation reform with models and so forth. As soon as the CAA have people working with Model Flying New Zealand that start to appreciate the low risk and everything, they disappear and new people come along and they have to start from scratch again. And it's a process, because obviously you don't want people within your regulatory framework pushing back against more regulation.
Well, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. In fact, all fingers crossed. Lilium's about to go bust, and I'm sorry for the people that work there, I suppose. But at the end of the day, they're the poster child for nonsense AAM, UAM stuff with the jet, the electric jet. It's I get so annoyed by it. People start pontificating about that thing, and we all saw it flying around with the tufts going berserk when it was at low level in the turn. But if they get, we might start getting a bit of realism and people moving away from this grab of.
Did you see the big press release? Toyota's investing in Joby. I mean
Joby.
Toyota. Yeah, Toyota they've lost the plot completely. They don't know what they're doing. They invested huge amounts of money in hydrogen-powered vehicles, which fell apart because they don't understand the energy future. They're in the ICE world, and now they're basically trying to nail jelly to a tree everywhere, hoping they're going to grab a share of the future because they've been left behind in the EV marketplace. And Joby is nowhere near, it's a decade away.
Oh yeah, they're all a decade away.
I guess with your larger companies like that, you could take a slice of everything and just hope that you just know that as long as one of those comes off, we're safe. So I think that's probably what we're doing.
The problem is Joby are now claiming, "Oh look, Toyota's investing us. We've got credibility." And that doesn't work well at all.
It's the same. It's the same every time. Once they have an excuse for a press release to have something to keep the investors happy, or to get reinvestment or whatever, is always the same. That's all. That's all it is.
Yeah.
I do
hope
think
for an electric future is now with EHang.
Yeah. Well, I was going to mention EHang, but just on the point of, I do think for Joby having the Honda money in is a far bigger kind of thumbs up. That kudos for your company, because really EHang's been held up by lots and lots of small investors, the majority who have no idea anything about aerodynamics, drones, the issues that are at play. All they're wanting is they've been told it's the next Tesla, and they've got this dream in their head. And you'll see it specifically mentioned. They think they're going to get over $100 a share, so they're trying to buy for around 10. And then think, well, 10 times my money. Seeing actual companies putting investment into a particular eVTOL product is definitely far more credible than seeing your small investors.
But as I said, that's not a lot of money, though. That's not a lot of money for these companies, for Honda or whatever, or Toyota. I mean, the money that they put in is not a lot of money. It's money that they would have been putting into research, that it could have been going into hydrogen or EVs that that's allocated, and they know they're far behind. So putting it into that is nothing.
Yeah. And I mean, because Toyota made that big thing about solid state batteries, they've invented these solid state batteries. That hasn't come to anything. It's all, pie in the sky stuff.
I'm trying to get to that EHang video now. That was recent that you posted on X about.
I'm actually going to invest in shirts because so many people are going to lose theirs. There'll be a huge demand for new ones.
I can't find that video of the influencers flying in the EHang thing.
This is what I don't like as well. It's using members of the public as test pilots, and I doubt any of them realise, these are still experimental, and the number of question marks there. That I just think, from an integrity viewpoint, it's not a good look, unless they really, really know and they've signed something and whatever. But I'm really not convinced. I think a lot of people think this is new technology. It's all proven. It's perfectly safe. They probably think the thing's got a parachute that'll pop out and all this lot. And yes, we all know
shroud.
That's not the case.
I think it has, though, hasn't it? Hasn't it got a parachute?
No, there's the other company that are now competing in that space where they fixed a parachute on and did a drop. But I've not seen anything where it's actually contained inside and deployed.
What could possibly go wrong? Lots of nylon cords and spinny propellers in the same proximity. Nothing could go wrong.
That's the problem as well, isn't it? It's like, will a parachute actually do the job, or is it just going to be a disaster?
The burial shroud. The burial
do
shroud.
You ever see those things actually hitting the ground? Because usually when they're coming down with the parachute, just as it hits the ground, it cuts away. You never ever see it hitting the ground.
And the bigger problem is in air fires. I mean, you'll come down like a little Roman candle, like a flare. You know, you'll be burnt by the time you get to the ground, but at least your ashes will land softly.
I'm trying to find that one because it's the first one. I mean, we've all talked about the blades on the E-hang chopping your knees off and stuff like that. But when you see them sat,
I can't afford that.
Well, they're short, they're tiny, and you come up to your knees. But when you see them sat there looking, and they're looking down on the propellers, it's like, oh my word! If one of those propellers lets go, it's going straight through that plastic.
Just ask Jobby; they'll never lose a blade on a propeller on an.
No, it never happen, will it?
Never happen. Would never happen.
Never. That's impossible. It's impossible for that to happen.
Besides, they've got three other motors. They've got three other arms and 5 other motors. They'll be fine.
Vibration. And they're very busy. Is that me gone?
No.
Go ahead, Stephen.
I have sat in one of those. I've actually been in one of the E-hangs before. So, because there is one, I think it's owned by a Norwegian company here, and they use it for. I think it's been used for a Netflix documentary, funnily enough, and some other things. But this, I think it's been part of the Cesar study as well. But I have sat in one, but not when it's been spinning around. I wouldn't dare.
I need to have your camera and get some screenshots.
I've got photos. I've got photos.
I'm sure you've done one scene in it, but it just been the UI wasn't very well skinned in the past, and you could see the flight modes.
I didn't see. They didn't have anything running there. There was nothing running.
Yeah,
I can see E-hang pivoting really quickly to becoming Swiss suicide pods after the first crash.
See, what investors are thinking about with that is it is a gamble for the fact of when there is the first crash. You know, they'll think, well, you've had Tesla's crash, but that's different because you've got those people, you know, they bought it as a car, they're driving it about, they've got responsibility. But the moment one of those E-hang comes out and it's got a member of the public that's probably quite unaware of any risk involved, they went down and squished them, then they're going to have the liability on that. And I think it will be far more significant on the share price than what you would have seen. I can see the
marketing now. It slices, it dices, it Julien's. Yes, it's the E-hang.
Yeah. It's some of us old enough. It's a horrible thing. Now, Sparky mentioning Starlink. That's direct to sell. That's been given approval to happen in New Zealand, doesn't it?
Florida. Well, we've got texting coming up, but I mean they're doing it in Florida right now, aren't they? To get around the.
It could be, but I thought they were doing it. I thought your country had given it.
They're promoting a service which will be starting sometime next year, which is it's only for SMS, I think, not for voice or anything. What's happened to your ear?
I just don't know. It's got to be listening to other things. There's an other thing.
Okay.
We don't know what the other thing is. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'll just go and watch something else now. Exactly.
Turn on
Netflix. Turn on Netflix. We're talking about it. Yeah. Speaking of suicide pods, we see the sub degrading long before the last trip was made. I did see that. Yeah, that was pretty horrible thing. All in all, I forgot I was going to go down another line of ranty thought, but I've forgotten what that other line of ranty thought was. Yeah. That's it. Someone better come up with a line of ranty thought.
What about, we mentioned last week that airliner in the USA that got hit by something and there were sparks. The pilot reported sparks. It's on VAS Aviation, that air traffic monitoring thing. And the pilot reported, we just had a strike. It's cracked the windscreen. I saw sparks. And to the credit of the airline pilot, he did not say drone. And it turned out to be a bird strike. A bird strike. How did the bird create sparks when it hit the windscreen? It shows you that.
Had a knife.
It shows you I think your brain often sees what it wants to see rather than what's actually there. And so how many of these drone sightings are just rubbish, like those F-16s saw those drones out over the US desert near Arizona.
Well, 20 years ago they were UFOs, but now UFOs now drones are the new UFOs.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it was great that the pilot didn't say drone, even though his frequency saw sparks.
As long as, because we're not allowed to call them UAVs anymore, and it's not UFOs either, is it anymore?
UAPs now,
UAPs. So I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Phenomenon.
Yeah,
Spelling,
phenomenon.
make that harder. Yeah. Did the bird ever? It could actually. Andrew's right there. It could have been a ringed bird, couldn't it? That could have made.
I suppose it could have.
Yeah, it could have done. Yeah. Homing pigeons.
But they're usually a soft middle. I don't think it's spark.
I don't know.
But aluminium.
I don't know. But
I don't think aluminium sparks.
Aluminum, sir. Aluminum.
In America. Oh, it was aluminum.
Yeah, aluminum. Yeah. Aluminium anywhere else. Well, that was definitely nonsense. We did find some nonsense to chat about there. I have forgotten what my. Oh, I know. Andy Sage followed me on LinkedIn. That was quite interesting. That's the dull.
Are you careless or clueless then?
That exactly. That's what he said. The careless, clueless, and
criminal.
Yeah, I'm all of them. I'm a criminal, careless, and clueless, and it's precisely right. Precisely right. It's amazing that he's still around and not changed chairs much. In this time as well, I thought he probably would, but not. So that when people stick around that long in their chairs at the CIA, makes you think, makes you think that that maybe they're not worthy of moving on or up or down. So what else have we seen this week?
Well, just what he mentioned, Andy Sage, you have reminded me that I remember his email to the DFT post Gatwick when he was asking how he could help them out politically. And I thought, no one's talking about safety and the aviation side is what's the optics on what's going on here? Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, I know. I remembered now. It's quite a simple thing I was going to say was because you mentioned earlier till we get to the bottom of this. Do you really think we're going to get to the bottom of all this?
I think there's going to be some embarrassment one way or another. Yeah. Well, at least I know the process now, so I'm going to push everything through, and people then there'll be legal expenses for these companies going to tribunal, and then someone will be saying, why are you and your emails costing us to keep trying to suppress what has gone on? Why have we not spoken up earlier? I don't know. All I could do is push a little bit more. From what we've shown already, we can categorically say the airport was not under a concerted attack by a drone because all the evidence there says it. You've got Leonardo's own words on that, so you can't contest that. And you can see that Sussex police are trying to rewrite the history because they find it very inconvenient, and that actually is going to be part of the talk when I go on about Gatwick for the New Zealand commercial thing, which they said they're going to put on YouTube afterwards. So I'm going to cover a bit of what I have been looking at is the money, the old follow the money, and the just trying to rewrite history because that's interesting in itself. If you feel you've got to rewrite events that have taken place, that in itself is quite, And then the money side's also a little bit funny, just the comedic side. So one bit I put out on Twitter, so we can say here because it's not giving the whole game away of bits being looked at. But after Gatwick, the force then does a letter pleading for the national taxpayer to pay the cost of the operation, going how poor they are now because they spent all this money and. They're not going to be able to afford to buy anything. And then suddenly they send a chief superintendent on a £2,500 jolly to Singapore to talk about the Gatwick drone, which you could do remotely, for free. You don't need to go across the world, I'm sure. But anyway, they spent the money. And then the funny thing is, you actually have a look at the entire budget for food for the whole of Operation Trebor. That was about £3,000. So he spent alone, nearly the food budget for all those poor officers that weren't happy with their sandwiches.
Yes, that's right. That was the funniest.
be leftover airline food. But I bet you end up with a statement from the parties involved saying that on reflection and after a great deal of investigation, we found the evidence that there was a drone at Gatwick is no longer as compelling as it once was. End of thing. You know, that's it. It'll be a tiny step back, and that will be all I'll do.
He's just bloody summed it up. He's done it. He's just done the sentence you're going to get at the end. Well, that might be it. But if they can't do that, because then, well, I thought.
So before you scroll, you stay there so people can see. So these,
yeah.
Go back down. So these are the. I think the cost went up actually, because I'm pretty sure your thing you did, Gary, found it was even more. But at the time when they tried to claim the money, they totaled up to this. But from this freedom of information, I followed it up and said, okay, so you're charging this for the officers, overtime, etc. How many days was that of them feet, their boots on the ground? They don't even know. Now, how can you be asking the taxpayer for, £750,000 and you don't even understand these individual costs for what periods they're on? I just think I don't know. I just think even as a courtesy, if you're asking someone for money, you should understand the figures and be able to justify it and say, well, it was it took this long. There was this issue that there's exceptional and so on, but it's not. It's just literally, here's the cost. Give us some money. And I just think that itself. I was expecting something far more substantial behind it of justifying this. This probably partly explains why they didn't get the money in the end. That it's not really delved into. We see here at the top. You see, this is why I queried the dates. They just mentioned they had the airport closures, which is up to the 21st. But the police weren't just there till the 21st. The official timeline says to the end of December. And there's just all this contradictory information put out about when the operation finished. So that's why I've always wanted to kind of say, what do you truly consider the date when you stop spending your money for people being there? And the very fact that nobody can really put a date on it, it's just one of these things. It's not, again, very reassuring. You should know what you're asking for and what you're billing for. I mean, if all the commercial operators that are in this chat watching now, if you were doing an invoice of billing or explaining to HMRC, you'd be able to explain every single penny of that. You'd have to, or you'd be in bother. But the very fact
like I was saying to you, Ian, like I was saying to you, I think it was this week or at the weekend, was that surely they must have kept receipts. Surely they must have receipts. Surely there has to be some kind of trail.
Yeah, they ought to be able to drill down on this. So I think with this one, I'll have to go to Sussex Police themselves and ask for a breakdown with some of the further figures here. But I do think when you're the crime commissioner that's above the force and you're the one asking for the money to be recovered, you've also got a duty to know your facts and figures a lot better.
And we need to know that this deliberate, targeted and persistent attack was designed to disrupt operations at the airport and presents a unique challenge for all those involved.
Very long bow.
I mean, that's some real, deliberate, targeted and persistent attack. And it wasn't that at all. But that's gone into the narrative. That's gone into the language. As you say. They're bundled in with Sussex Police. Oh, but for people that don't know, Jason Tingley, who left the force afterwards, is the guy that said there might not be a drone. He's now working with the police and crime commissioner. So he's had some sort of role or there, because they were posting about some specific tasks he'd been involved with. So there's this. There's this connection always when you're overseeing the force. You're also kind of, again, things are a little bit muddied in your rather than justifying their behaviour to the people of Sussex that are paying for the force. More often than not, they're arguing arguments on behalf of the force as they're doing there. So that it's, as you say, Gary, it's just the standard over-egging it. Say, no, this is definite, there was an attack on that, and then no one ever saying there actually is no evidence to back that up. that's what, because that'll be quoted in no end of safety things saying, whatever her name was, the police commissioner said the following.
Yeah, Katie Bourne.
Katie Bourne said, Police Commissioner Bourne said, "Oh, quick, it's them."
Well, one thing that they are tending to answer my freedom of information's pretty, I mean, like there we saw no redactions, so they are being transparent and fairly swift these days. I have actually in the past tagged Katie Bourne directly on Twitter with stuff about Gatwick. She never acknowledges it. So yeah, the only way you ever get out officials.
Andrew's asking about the compensation. The passengers didn't get compensation, and this is might even be the biggest simple reason why they're hiding it, because the police, the airport would have had to pay for the policing if it's proven to be false, and the airlines would have had to compensate the passengers. So what did we just read? 140,000 passengers or whatever it was, £1 each. That's a lot of money, isn't it? A tenner each is even more.
The airlines claimed they'd lost 50 million, didn't they? So
yeah,
you've got a 50 million figure for the airlines, of whatever was for the passengers. Even those passengers who were fortunate enough to use credit cards, if there hadn't been a drama there, the credit card companies would have every time and say, "Wait a minute, we should be getting this money back. We shouldn't have had to refund it." But yeah, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, from what was quite a, at the time it felt like it had gone on forever, but it was a relatively short piece of time that we've managed to cost so many people so much money, and could have cost 2 people their freedom.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It was very, very busy time of the year, though, wasn't it? That was the thing. It was running up to Christmas. But I wanted to say this American. What a bunch of yes, I can't quite remember that Fawlty Towers episode. I only remember the one with the Australian tourist lady, particularly, and hamsters and things like that. But there's not many to remember, is there? There's only like 7 episodes, isn't there? I wanted to talk about New Zealand.
There was the guy who, it was the American guy who wanted a Waldorf salad.
Yeah, oh, yes. Now, I wanted to mention New Zealand. I wanted to mention the Dawn Aerospace thing. Dawn Aerospace, New Zealand. See if he put his headphones on then. So what else they've caught up with him? It's the law. We're seeing it live. They're going to burst that door open in a second. It's going to be very, very exciting, and I'll be able to clip it. Oh yeah, I've just, another thing I noticed or thought about today was I never say things. I'd like to know put your views in the comments. Every other YouTube videos, put your views in the comments, dear viewer, so you can fill up the comments and get the thing. It's all the words, all the things I don't say. I was thinking about that today. And then Bruce said, now, Dawn Aerospace, Bruce, did you see their flight up to 60,000 feet?
No, it wasn't at my place.
Wasn't it your? Oh, let's see.
Yeah, they've got a model airplane that they're going to launch rockets, satellites with, aren't they?
It was in 2 seconds, wasn't it? Oh no, sorry, 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was very, very quicky uppy. Of course,
it was very quicky uppy.
Quicky uppy. I can't find. I should have had that prepared. Really, there it is.
I just watched it before we came on air. I just watched it. I
actually knew Tim very well, who passed away last year from there. So whenever I see the Dawn Aerospace stuff, whilst it's excellent, it's also a mixed little bit of sadness. Old Tim Dutton, a very, very lovely chap. So let's go for that. Let's show you that. You should have been able to see it from your house.
So the New Zealand space program's come a long way since we just had a ladder.
A ladder. Can you hear that?
Yep. Look at that. Whoa, look at that. So they're not even a New Zealand company, are they? They're Dutch or something? There's a huge Dutch investment in them or something like that, isn't there?
I don't know.
I don't know. But yeah, so they'll get sold.
Well, I mean, we're looking at quite a weapon there, aren't we? Really?
Yes.
Look at that! What a pretty country you live in.
Yeah, and if I put footage up like that, CIA would complain.
Well, weren't they just on the phone there? Cliff was asking.
Yeah. Again, apparently a 747 pilot spotted this outside my house.
Yeah, so well done.
Did you know that
Yeah,
Telegram
and
is
nobody
paying
died.
No, I didn't know. I didn't know that Telegram was paying
nobody
people.
died.
Nobody died. No, look, very, very pretty. And well done to Dawn Aerospace with that one. Right. Do we have any more?
I can't think of anything. My goodness.
It's a quiet week.
Going twice.
It is.
It's
We're
very
mature
quiet
industry.
week.
Mature industry. When things mature, nothing happens.
You can't be going yet anyway, but you've got another 12 minutes
from being mature.
But again,
Another 12 minutes.
When I look at Google News and type in drone, I used to get drone racing and new products from DJI and all that. Now it's just bombs and kamikaze drones and replicator programs. It's all military now. Drone is just, it's completely bad.
Yeah,
uses have taken over.
but it's been usurped by the word FPV, hasn't it? Or the phrase FPV, or the abbreviation
FPV drones
FPV.
are the new thing. So it's pretty soon you'll have to have a permit, have a background check and a permit to purchase a FPV drone, and it can't be a semi-automatic FPV drone. It'll have to be a bolt action.
You can't do any matchstick modifications to it to make it fly faster. No,
but drones don't.
But having said that,
kill drones.
Having said that, in the USA, since they have a right to bear arms, if a FPV drone is now going to be considered a weapon, then they have a right to own them, don't they?
I suppose so. I suppose so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's amazing that there's quite a few military people still saying, "Nah, don't worry about this fuss. This fad will go away.
It'll blow
They're
over.
not going to stay around. It'll blow over." Yeah. All private chat. Look out. That'll be. What's he put in here?
It's just an amusing story because in the UK, given the UK is now the place in the world where we just do mad things, you've got to register your chickens. So people have been actually registering the chickens they bought from Tesco's as well. They ended up taking the website down for a while.
And their chicken nuggets.
But yeah, it was just funny seeing this anger because I'm thinking now a lot of other people know what the drone community feels like when it's like you've got to register on this and you've got to do this, you've got to do the other. And I'm thinking, when's someone going to come out with Rig for Chicken and the UTM?
Yeah, but it's all about bird flu, isn't it? They're worried that bird flu, chickens will be a vector for bird flu and we will all die. Safety first.
Yeah. Safety first aid last. Yeah, it's a big problem here, bird flu. God.
Is it?
I don't know. Yeah. It's a big problem. Big problem.
Well, most of California's dairy herds got bird flu now, had it?
And most of Florida's not going to be there tomorrow morning, apparently.
What a perfect time for a DLG launch.
Have you been? I've been watching the NOAA. I've been using it at school today as a storyline about social media misinformation. It's a brilliant storyline for it. It's got airplanes and hurricanes and pictures of people panicking, so it grabs the children's attention.
Oh, there's a new phrase. It's social misleadia. That's what it's called
absolutely.
Now. Social misleadia.
Absolutely, and it's quite shocking. The misinformation over there about it, and they're getting in the way. And FEMA putting up a website about misinformation of all the things to have to do in an emergency. I mean, it's just not the top of your list, is it? Create website to counter misinformation.
It's funny how they just politicize everything. Everything is being used. It doesn't matter what it is. People are dying. People's freedom, blah blah blah, and it has to be politicized in such a way that everything is questioned, and the people think that there's something nasty going on, and why are you doing that and stuff, So
Yeah,
But then of course it's okay when it's guns. It's fine. It's okay. But everything else is like.
Guess how much they want for one of these locally? A 300 milliamp 2S battery, generic.
Oh, in a local hobby shop.
Yeah.
$1 million.
No, $30 plus $10 shipping. $40
what do they cost?
for a tiny little battery that size.
Well, what do they cost when you buy them from Banggood?
From AliExpress, they're $10, but they don't get here for 2 months because they send them by sea, I think. But
yeah.
So I'm trying to get my DLG in the air, and I need a battery, and I can't find one anywhere because only one place has them in stock anyway. Well, what has he got?
Have you got that? Is that come back a bit further? How
yeah,
big
no,
was
I
that
was
bit
just,
of glass?
see, the Netflix effect doesn't work very well on the webcam.
No.
I'm quite disappointed with this. This is a split diopter, which should
Yeah,
make
I thought that.
Is he
at the bottom
Does
of
it make a huge pair of glasses?
But we are getting some unnecessary reflections there. So maybe an effect could be made out of that. I don't know.
Ian will know him. Diopter.
Diopter, Welsh
Shout out
bloke.
to Ian.
Yeah. Oh, Cliff, I thought last week's stream was groundbreaking. Really got a social media challenge. It was.
We should fail more often.
It's a shame about last week because people won't know, but we had Philip Rouse here in a pub to himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's of course. Yeah. Oh, didn't I take a picture of that? What did I do with that? I can't remember. Yeah, there was Vaseline. Yes, Vaseline on Ian's lenses. But yeah, he had a pub. Yeah, a whole pub all to himself, and we actually kept talking for like 3 hours. It was a long old thing.
And he has actually got a flight controller that was just slightly smaller than a SIM card. Wasn't it? Was it an SSD or SIM card? It's one of the other.
Micro SD. It's smaller than a micro SD.
So he's literally got a flight controller that is smaller than this, with all the components
and it's as powerful as a Cube Orange Plus.
Yeah, it's got a dual core H7 STM32, so lots of processing power.
Was that the one that's $30 as well?
35, I think you said, wasn't it? Something like that.
Yeah,
it sounds like good.
Something like that. Yeah. It's and he's actually having to make. This is true. The dear viewer's not believing this now. They're having to make tiny SD cards for it or removable media for it. Of their own design, so they'll also have that, and that was smaller than an NDAA micro SD card. Because remember, you can get NDAA micro SD cards from now. Turn your DJI drone. Well, they're blue, aren't they? That's what he should have. He should have made them blue. They're not, but he should have done. That's exactly what. But he's put a stars and stripes on them. Haven't I got a photo of that here somewhere? Let's have a look. I might even have a photo of that controller actually. Let's have a look.
To be fair, it's not a full controller. It's like the electronics. There's no interfaces and things. You have to put your own connectors on, but make a great basis for a DIY flight controller.
He's making a carrier board for it. He is making.
It's going to have beta flight. Beta flight.
Oh yeah, that was. Oh, I'm not sure. Oh well, you have now. Yes, there's a beta flights, but now that'll be supported by, or you'll be able to put beta flight on just about all the cubes, I think, as well.
Yes.
I'm talking out of turn here. I'm sure there was a picture of it on Cube Pilot. I'm having a look. Common dimensions. Just sort of speak amongst yourselves whilst I'm doing that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything we might have spoken about last week.
You can make tiny kamikaze drones with that, eh?
Oh. Yeah, you're right.
Fly up your nose and blow your brains out. Oh, those! What are Slaughterbots? Remember Slaughterbots? The video Slaughterbots. Yeah,
very much.
Perfect.
Well, actually, let's share this. It's not gonna have the right one, but just because I thought that picture of Mark was quite good. Can you see that?
What's he doing?
Well, exactly. What is he doing? What is occurring? What is occurring? Let me look for them while that's up there. I'm sure I've seen a picture of that thing.
Can we see who's hiring on LinkedIn? No. Okay.
Who's hiring? Yeah, LinkedIn's a funny place, isn't it? It really is a funny place.
You're not on there, are
no.
you, Bruce?
LinkedIn, no, it's a playground for people with too much time and not enough to do.
Yeah.
Gary.
I didn't say that. And it would be rude of me to disagree with you, though.
It was. Well, I just think it's a nice place to argue with people. There's such strong opinions.
You get to see a lot there. You get to see a lot of BS.
You do. Olympic level. Here it is. There it is. That's what you were talking about, isn't it? Yeah. So that's the cube node. And as you see, it should have made those cards blue. Maybe they can't make them blue. I don't know. For reasons. Have you ever seen an SD card? Well, no. Yeah. I suppose those.
Look at the Samsung ones.
Yeah.
I've got food cards.
Yeah. These are two colors. Right, one right there. Yeah.
You just paint them.
Paint them. Yeah. You should have made them blue.
Like paint.
Yeah. But it's got a Union Jack on it, so that's. LinkedIn's good for vetting. I don't want to be a vet.
Jack?
No, did I say Union Jack? Not Union Jack.
It's Stars and Stripes.
Stars and Stripes. There's Stars and Stripes. There's only one flag. Yeah. So there is a carrier board coming for that, and of course it makes the dangerously small. Says Cliff. Yeah, it'd be hard to see things with it. But as Bruce says, it's got H. Well, is it dual H7 or single H7? I can't remember.
It's a dual core.
Single H7. Dual core.
Single processor, but dual core.
Yeah. Lots and lots and lots of. It's going to be a bit of a game changer, isn't it? In that game changer. Oh, there's me with my LinkedIn voice on. Rather than a 30 by 30
changes
by
everything.
30. Oh, changes everything. Yeah, that's right. Nobody's going to believe. They couldn't just.
I bought this flight controller. You won't believe what happened next.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think this. No, there won't be. There can't be an OSD on board. There's. He said he didn't know. He was sort of on the fence. So maybe they're looking at putting one in, but they haven't got it. And I don't know. He wouldn't. He was non-committal in terms of OSD. Yeah. Well, he did tell us how this turned into a flight controller from being something else, didn't he? So, series of history adventures with building rockets. Yes, with great details for those of us in Ukraine and Russia. Yeah. RG-Copter Tiny Whoops, yeah, exactly. You could see RG-Copter Tiny Whoops. I think there already are some out there, aren't they? I think.
Why would you want
people
them?
Have already done that.
You can put INAV on it on most flight controllers, and that works fine.
Yeah. And but he's going to allow you to put beta on cubes and this thing, specifically this thing. It's going into Mission Planner. I don't know when. He didn't tell us, did he? No, he didn't.
Didn't tell us much. Didn't tell us much of anything.
No.
In fact,
no, because he was in a pub. He was in a pub all by himself.
His speech got very slurred towards the end. Did you notice?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
talking about Mission Planner, actually, that was the weird thing. We're going down to DroneX. There was people there, and I didn't necessarily recognize them. So I tried to go ahead, and suddenly I went, "You're Mr. Mission Planner," and realised I was Michael. So I was straight off there, and I had to go and go, "No, Mission Planner. Why is it so difficult to skin?" Because that's my main gripe with it. But it was explaining that it's the technology behind it that they render on. It's done for just the compatibility across devices. So you've got less of the headaches about devices not being compatible and the testing around that. So that's the real reason behind it. Although I did talk about them actually having a look at some of the web technologies. So maybe at some point in future it will go more web looking like. I don't know. But that'll be down to, I guess, Philip to determine that being a priority. And
I should have a talk to Jason.
It is something that they are aware of, and there are reasons for that being a low priority compared to compared to everything else. But it just kind of always interested me because it's one of those things I just think it'd be cool to like have your own look. You do with other bits of software that you have. You might customize. I just thought
we need more looks.
It'd be kind of nice. But having said that, it would have the downside that you get more companies ripping it off and saying, "Look at what we've invented."
Like Ehang.
Ehang. Well, it's just say, and in response to Cliff's comment there, I think Ian's just used to being treated as a leper, socially everywhere anyway. So there's no difference. He wouldn't be able to tell. Wouldn't be able to tell.
I was going to say I have got another little story from there. I was speaking to some other guy that, and I apologise, I can't remember his name, but he does a YouTube channel like Bruce on FPV kind of drones, and he knows Bruce, and he says to me, we were talking about Bruce, and said, "Well, say what a nice chap you are." It's going that grumpy old man thing. It's just an act for the internet. It's really nice and cuddly in real life. So there you go.
Lies, it's all lies. I deny it.
That was the chap on the stand. That was it Painless RC?
Oh, maybe I do. I must apologise. It's not a channel because I've known the FPV thing. So it's not a channel I'd watched. So, but yeah, it was just it's interesting having these little conversations here and there, and yeah, I'm just generally useless with people's names. I can work for an employer for 10 years and still not know some of the stuff I've been working with.
And Andrew, that Intel GUI, I think Intel retained that. I think I'm trying to remember the story on that. There's a story on that. Do you mean the one that was the simulator or the one that came from the fixed wing thing? I think that can get donated from memory. I'll have to ask him. I'll ask him. I can't honestly remember, but I don't think it went that way. Look, we've gone over the hour now, so it is time to go. And I've got to go and sleep in a cave tomorrow. So
that's an upgrade, Gary.
And exactly. It's absolutely no.
You've not told everyone about your divorce, have you? All live on air.
You probably have better.
That's right.
You probably have better cell reception. But I bet you've got better internet as well.
Yeah, I know. Not quite. Top of a mountain with 30 schoolboys. It's going to be great. 30 12-year-olds. Hooray!
Cliff says take a cushion with you. Yeah, you might need some warmth.
Yeah,
something to set fire to.
Set fire to. Set it to burn. So yeah, I've been to the Drakensberg in the morning. So I'd better go to bed and get ready for that escapade. And all things being equal, if I don't fall off the mountain,
if all things were equal, Gary, we wouldn't need greater than and less than signs.
Oh, you bugger! You're so right. Yeah, dear viewer, wherever you are in the world, thanks very much for joining us. It worked this time. I'm sorry you actually had to see us this time. Perhaps you preferred last week's version.
Next time we look
forward. Yeah, that's right. We look forward to seeing you again at 2100 Gin and Tonic next week. Be careful wherever you are. If you're in Florida, be extra careful. Cheers, viewers. Take care of you well. Bye-bye.